Hello, everybody. My name is Ryuki, the co host of this podcast that you are listening to currently, the Aquarium Community Podcast. I did want to leave a slight disclaimer about the audio quality due to not having my microphone set up correctly. So you will hear some background noise through my microphone, which I am extremely sorry for, but that's basically all. I'll let you guys get into this episode, so enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AC podcast. I'm your host, Nacho. This is my co-host. What's your name?
Ryu, how's it going?
Yeah, and we have a special guest today. As the first episode of the podcast, we'd figure we'd start on something pretty simple. So, plants. Introduce yourself.
All right, everyone. My name's Garret. I do Buce and some other aquatic plants. That's my thing.
Do you have a site where people can buy those?
I do, but it's down at the moment. We're revamping it,
Mm,
so
okay.
at some point that'll be ready again.
Nice, nice. All right, so get down to business. All right, how's everybody doing tonight?
Pretty
You
good,
know, I'm
pretty
chilling, bro. I just had a milkshake. This shit was busting.
good.
Bro, I got this like bitter ass pure tea, bro. It's great. Can I cuss? Is that allowed?
I don't know. Who knows?
Fuck it, sure, fuck it. Who cares?
Dude, watch your fucking language. Anyway,
We can beep it out.
uh, you can beep it out. I'm not editing any of this.
Oh, damn you.
Anyway. All right, so um, how'd you start fish keeping? Like, or do you have like a let's start with some easy questions. What's your favorite plant
My favorite
that you
plant?
that you've grown and owned, or like your dream plant?
Any species of Buce my boy.
Yeah, like a favorite, like Kettigang, Dark Knight, or
Ooh, well, I mean, like, we can get into naming schemes if you want, because it's like a big issue in the industry. But
we got
as
like
of
an hour.
now,
We got
okay,
like an hour
I
to
can
fill,
fill
bro.
that
Go ahead.
time. Don't okay.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I
So
concur.
before we even, huh?
Oh, not just that I concur with what you're saying. I agree with you all the way.
Gotcha. Okay, so anyways, like when it comes to Busa Philandra, before I even get to like my favorites and shit, um, there's like a big issue with your sellers, like your actual U.S. based sellers, or the people who get to the end user, like you can do like Boost Plant, Glass Aqua, all those people. They don't use proper names in all circumstances, and then the wholesalers themselves kind of just like slap a name on the plant and send it out. So Boost has like a variety of identified species, but doesn't have enough names to cover as many species exist because not all of them are scientifically identified and recognized. So there's like this big issue where you get a plant and it's named one thing and it may be another thing, or it may be another thing, or it may be something completely different than what's been seen in the hobby before. So I guess that sounds really complex the way I put it, but there's just more unidentified and unrecognized species than there are recognized species, and there's a lot of naming issues because of that,
Mm-hmm.
which is why you get things like yeah, let me get examples right now. um Here, sorry, I have to look up like current names that are being used because I'm not super up to date on that. I kind of just do my own thing. So
Yeah.
on Boost Plant right now, they're selling like mini coin, for example, or um
Mm. My
there's just like
personal
you get
favorite. Yeah, yeah. Buse Plain, is that like the main place where you like? Is that like your main favorite place to go?
I mean, I might own favorite realistically. Let's
Yeah, realistically,
um
he's his own business,
Oh,
so.
of course,
but
I
as I
understand.
was sort of saying, like you have species that are called like mini coin, for example, or like some other stupid thing like that, or like red purple or green wavy. and those aren't recognized species. They don't have any of their inflorescences recorded anywhere. So when you purchase stuff like that, you're kind of just getting like a mystery species of Buce that just like gets happen. It's like to be thrown at you, I guess, because there's not enough scientific effort being put forth into the plant species to have all these verifiable and distinct different species in the genus. So you just end up
Mm-hmm.
with this like sort of big mess where names can kind of just be whatever you want, and you can just call a unrecognized species of Bucephalandra whatever you want and just sell it to people, which is a sort of like moral gray area when it comes to being a business, because you can pretend like this really unremarkable plant that you have is something completely new and just drop it on your customers.
Mm. Now, would you ever do that? Have you ever
Personally,
done that?
no, I do my best to stay as accurate as possible. And
You
in
can
some
be honest.
cases, I'm aware, I'm being honest. In some cases, it's not really possible to remain super accurate because the way that you identify your Bucephalandra species is an inflorescence. So you wait for the flower to come out, and then you record its, shape, length, color, and compare it to whatever's been indexed before. But in a lot of cases, that isn't viable because you can't force the plant to spit out a flower whenever you want. And then you can't always compare it to anything because in a lot of cases there's nothing to compare it to. There's nothing recorded that's the exact same inflorescence, this exact same plant is what you have on hand. So I take a look at the color, the shape of the leaf, and the size, and then I just best match up to what I can and what's currently on the market.
Hmm. Interesting. That seems like about the optimal way of doing it. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Hmm. Have you kept anything like other than Buce? Like, do you dabble in
I've
like other kinds of fish
Oh
keeping
yeah,
and plants?
I've dabbled in all sorts of stem plants, moss. I kind of do a little bit of everything. Crypts, I'm a big fan of crypts actually.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, um, I just do all sorts of plants. And currently, my stock is mostly just Boost, but in the future, and especially currently, I'm working on getting a couple farm tanks set up so I can start getting some different stem plants available.
Mm, I see. I see. Interesting. So what would you say is like your optimal Bucephalandra keeping thing? Do you like keep anything with them, like shrimp or
I think
what?
shrimp are ideal to keep with Boost because Boost likes to stay relatively clean. Part of its natural habitat is being kept in riverbeds where flash flooding's pretty common occurrence. So they're used to relatively high flow when they are underwater. Um, which, it's not terribly hard to recreate in the tank, but as a result of that, or at least I think as a result of that, Boost really doesn't handle crazy well with being in dirty tanks. I get more melting when my tanks are dirty with my Boost, and that's anecdotal, of course. But yeah, I think shrimp kind of help keep the plant clean and then keep the tank clean as a whole. So it's a good additive.
Interesting. So you have like, do you have them in like just like a regular like 5 gallon or something, and then with just a little colony of shrimp in there?
I
Or
run 40-gallon breeders generally.
40, and it's like all full of Buse?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh,
Uh,
damn. That's a lot of booze.
bro, imagine it bursts, I'd cry. Um,
It's a good amount.
yeah. Well, I guess you are a store. Is that like your only thing of Buse in there, or do you have like a more than
As
one
of
tank?
now, I have one 40-gallon breeder filled with booze. I have another 40-gallon breeder getting ready and prepared and cycled for more booze. And then I'm going to get a couple more 40 gallons and do stem plant farms out of them.
Interesting. Have you ever thought of? You mentioned that you like crypts a lot. Have you ever thought of dipping into the crypt business?
Rips are really, really cool, I think. But as a business, sometimes it's a real big struggle to explain to customers that if they order this plant, that it will die as soon as it touches their tank and then it will regrow. So crypts are kind of difficult because of crypt melt to really get going with, unless you're doing highly specialized crypts and selling to really knowledgeable people.
Mm, I see.
Which, I
Continue.
mean, you have to kind of like think
Mm,
from the business or the customer standpoint. They go to this reputable business, buy a plant, it dies instantly, and then you're told that's what happens.
mm. So yeah, stem plants. What kind are you thinking?
I don't have an exhaustive list right now, but I wanted to do a little bit of meta, so like Ludwigia meta, and some more of the rare stem plants that maybe not necessarily are like super expensive, but definitely plants that you don't really see in the hobby as much anymore.
Sorry. Yeah. What was the one you said? Like it was like a Ludwigia
Ludwigia meta, Inclinata
Ludwigia meta.
verticula meta, I think.
Interesting. Um. So like, what other do you keep anything else like fish or
I
among
have a
your plant farm?
couple uh red Bexford's pencilfish.
Mm,
And then I plan to do a little bit more with shrimp at some point. I kind of want to get into caridina, but that's a whole nother mess, especially since I'm on well water, so it's not
same.
really ideal for soft water shrimp.
Yeah, I'm on a well too. I have like a little 5 gallon just full of hornwort that's just like the shrimp breeding ground.
Oh, there you
Um,
go.
oh yeah, it looks awful, but it produces like so many shrimp. It's ridiculous.
Interestingly, I found that your tanks that look awful for like your own viewing pleasure generally do the best in terms of plant growth and animal well-being.
Hmm. Yeah, it's usually plants will like if they're just like floating there or just kind of about, they'll usually find a good spot. But I like to
Exactly.
like yeah, I like to do a lot of like wedging them like in between like the not like epiphytes, but like I like a lot of like hardscape, and then the
Right.
plants like are kind of like among the rocks, you know.
And of course, in this hobby, any plant could be considered like quote unquote epiphytic because you can just grow it on a rock or a piece of driftwood because it's all water column feeding, right?
Yeah.
Going back to the topic of Bucephalandria, is there any special care that you say there would be? Or is it kind of
So it's
just low
actually a
maintenance?
relatively undemanding plant. Um, Other than trying to keep your tank clean for it, and actually it kind of goes in tandem with that. Buce really, really does not like having high ammonia. That'll melt the plant. So if you're keeping your tank clean in the first place, that won't be an issue as long as you're cycled. But yeah, definitely watch your ammonia if you're throwing it in a new tank.
Alright, anything like specific that you would need for, say, like lighting almost? Or.
No, Boost you can put in damn near no light and you'll still get growth over time. It will be a lot slower and it's already a slow growing plant, but you don't need a whole lot of light to keep it happy. And if anything, in some cases, uh, giving it too harsh of light could be detrimental, especially to younger plants.
Alright, alright.
Which isn't to say like a whole lot, because to be honest with you, the tank lights that you're slapping on your tank in terms of power are never going to touch what the sun does. But sometimes, in some cases, smaller and less mature plantlets don't enjoy having a highlight on them.
Alright,
Hmm.
alright. So, would you
Um.
say that Bucephalandria is a plant that requires something like CO2? Or.
No, you definitely don't need it. I think that most people should be considering CO2 for their setups, but you do not require it by any means.
Do you use it?
Yes, in most of my tanks, I do have CO2.
Mm. What differences have you like found with it? Um, like I don't
In
know if you've
terms of
seen it.
Buce, I don't have a whole lot of differences there because Buce is just a slow growing plant, so the addition of CO2 doesn't matter all that much. But in terms of other plants, it's monumental how fast the growth changes.
Mm.
Would you ever switch to a more fish focused based business? So say something kind of based on working with guppies, mollies, platies, and all that. Would you ever do that?
Most likely, no, to be honest with you, just because like currently my expertise is in plants, like that's where I'm knowledgeable. And I already dislike how much competition there is in the boost market as it sits right now. Going into the fish market just has so much more competition because everybody carries fish everywhere.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
And uh, going back to the beginning of the podcast when you said you had a website, is there any other uh, sources almost that you sell on? To something like Aquabid or
I do Reddit Aquaswap. I kind of post on there whenever possible. And yeah, that's about it. I don't really do Aquavid. Aquavid seems like a very aged website, and I've used it before to like purchase, but I don't know that I'd list on there.
all right.
Hmm.
And since we're on Discord right now, actually, have you used Discord as a selling option or?
I have before, but it's really uncommon that I sell on Discord. Like, and this, I'll put it in perspective here, is if I go on Aquaswap and I post, I can expect to have 10 to 20 people hit me up per post. And that may not be, directly sales, but I'll have those people trying to reach out and talk to me. Um, when I come into the Discord, for example, if I put a listing in AC, like I did yesterday, I think even nobody's hit me up on that post, and I do a discount for AC. I went from $4 a rhizome in my Reddit to $3 a rhizome on Discord, and I still haven't had anybody hit me up here. So I've made like two, maybe three sales through Discord ever.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are super trusty on Discord.
Yeah, it seems
Absolutely
to be that
not.
way.
Yeah.
Profit-wise, do you see a lot of profit coming out of Boost Philandria, or is it not such a like large market that you're not making as much profit that you
Um,
want to be making?
well, that depends on a lot, to be honest with you. When it comes to Reddit sales, which is honestly my primary source of sales, is through Reddit. That is very, very dependent on how persistent I am with posting. Am I posting, the once a week and hitting it every single week at an ideal time for when people get off work? That changes the results a lot compared to, not putting in the time and effort that I'm supposed to. And then, because Boosin is it's a perishable good, really. It's a plant, so it can and will die on you in transit from the wholesaler to you, or you to the end user, or in your own tank sitting for a month or two. There's bound to be death. So depending on how bad that is, it definitely affects your profit margins. So it sort of fluctuates how much you make.
Interesting. Speaking of wholesalers, do you ever intend on becoming a wholesaler or making
Uh,
this like
I've
more of like a job or
I've
like career
considered
kind of
it.
thing?
The issue that most people have going into that though is that anybody that's really in the industry already has a wholesaler, so it's very hard to come and replace them when you're just middle manning for another wholesaler from, maybe overseas to you and then from you to other people. It's not to say that's not possible. Like for example, I think Jenny West is doing that right now and is perfectly fine, but it definitely takes a lot more connections, and you have to have a very, very good public perception to be able to go and do that successfully.
Mm. Um, have you also considered of like becoming like trying to do like a what Aquarium Co-op did and try to make it like a brand kind of thing, like a YouTube or a TikTok or something?
I have, but I'm just not sure that I want to go into YouTube and do all that yet. Maybe in the future, it could definitely be a thing, especially because there's a very large lack of, I don't want to say educational videos, because there's a lot of videos that you can see online and YouTube and such where there's they're trying to be educational, but there's not a lot of videos that get into the nitty gritty of things the way that some people in AC like have that knowledge. Right. So there's a spot for me to go and try and do that, but it would take a lot of time.
Hmm. How long have you been doing this? Like, what like inspired you to start selling
Uh,
Buce?
so that the initial sales essentially came from being in the hobby as a hobbyist. I wanted to get into Boost, and then I saw the price on it, and I was like, wow, that's ridiculous. So I looked into cheaper options, and I figured out, hey, if I spend a very large sum of money all at once with this one person, I can get way more plants, and then it can be profitable.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
it brought my cost per unit down, but I had to spend way more all at once. You know how that kind of goes.
Yeah, yeah. Like buying in bulk.
Exactly.
Do you usually like? Or is there a plant that's like a best seller?
I don't have a specific variety that's a bestseller, but I do have the darker colored Bucephalandra with better textured leaves seem to sell better in my experience, as opposed to the traditional lime to dark green with the flat rounded edges.
Hmm. Um. Yeah. I mean, all I really have for in terms of like actual abuse is just like some like weird. I think it's Ketagang green or some random ass one. I don't fucking know. But yeah, it's a cool plant. I gotta say.
If you
Um.
want more, hit my line. I will send you some for free if you pay the shipping cost.
How much is the shipping cost?
$10.
That's really good. Okay, yeah. Everybody listening, go hit him up. Everybody listening, go hit him up and steal all of his views.
I don't know if that was an offer to everybody listening, but
Come on, get us some promotion.
maybe I will. We'll have to do like a little giveaway for the AC podcast.
All right.
You know what? Okay, yeah, we will do that actually. AC podcast promotion. Hit me up through either Ryu or the host, and I will do $200 total giveaway as long as you guys pay shipping. Easy. $200 worth of boost. I mean,
Mhm. Think of all that abuse that could just kind of sit there and
I'll put
maybe
that.
grow
I'll
a
put that
leaf
on
once
the
a
line
week.
right now. If you guys want to do that.
All right. And I think since this is like a pilot episode, it shouldn't go too long. But thank you so much. This has been very informal. You're very welcome back on the podcast. Next later episodes.
Thanks for having me. It's probably not going to be the best episode, especially since I didn't have like a script coming into it, but
Yeah, we were kind of
it's
just
fun.
winging it. We're thinking we gotta like brainstorm like some segments and stuff about it, but hey, we did it. Now Aaron won't be threatening to forget me anymore.
Oh yeah, Aaron's
Yeah.
not gonna murder us.
Tell Aaron to hit me up if he wants to do the giveaway thing, because I'll do it right now.
All
Alright,
right,
dope.
I have extra plant on stock.
all right. Thank you, everyone. This has been your host, Nacho, and the co-host,
Ryu, of
Ryu,
course.
Ryu.
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 There you go.
I'm here. Ryu, of course. And of course, our guest speaker, Garret from Perfected Plants, I think your website is. If you
Plans
want to say yours.
Perfected. But
Plans
yeah, the
Perfected.
website is
Close
Perfected
enough.
Plan. Is what it is.
It is what it is, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Of course,
And buy his Buce. Support his business.
Yeah,
Thank
buy
you,
his Buce,
everyone.
man.
Love you.
All
Bye.
right. See you guys out.
Okay.